Most enterprise AI strategies operate in the dark. Companies plug standalone tools into workflows, judging them on generalized benchmarks, leaving isolated queries floating without context. This creates the execution gap. Leadership teams buy into the high-level concept of artificial intelligence, but stumble when trying to integrate those broad models into specific day-to-day industry workflows. To figure out what actually works, businesses are forced to run real-world experiments. They spend capital and allocate physical resources to test theoretical ideas, often finding out too late that a model doesn't fit their specific operational needs. AI Supermind Consulting operates on a different thesis. Closing that gap requires moving past single, isolated tools and building a connected architecture. They implement what they call a supermind, a collective intelligence system that links data and decision-making across the entire company. Navigating the current AI landscape means moving away from expensive trial and error. Organizations need a structured, collective system to turn raw processing power into actual, measurable execution. The first step in this architecture is surprisingly quiet. Before the system generates a single output, it acts as a passive monitor, establishing a wide net to capture the chaos of the open market. This diagram illustrates the sensing phase. We see 3 erratic data streams filtering into a central hub. These streams represent competitor intelligence, direct customer feedback, and macro-level trends in AI development. The system doesn't try to spit out immediate answers. It first maps the exact environmental conditions the business is facing, turning external noise into structured, ingestible data. Once the environment is mapped, the system enters the ideating phase. It takes those ingested market variables and uses them to algorithmically brainstorm a massive array of potential actions. These aren't generic suggestions. The system calculates highly specific moves, like identifying unexploited SEO tactics for the marketing team, or proposing cheaper alternative materials for the production line. Here we see the deciding phase mapped out on a decision tree. Instead of testing these ideas in the real world, the system runs them through simulated workflows. It pits dozens of possibilities against each other, stress testing every variable before a single dollar leaves the budget. Let's look closer at one of those failed routes. Leadership teams review these quantitative charts to see exactly why an idea failed in simulation. Perhaps it depleted cash reserves too quickly, or caused a manufacturing bottleneck. This allows them to validate the single best path forward using hard math. Running these scenarios virtually protects the company's physical and financial assets. It filters out the noise and pinpoints the highest impact strategy with measurable confidence. Taking that validated strategy and applying it is where the system scales. The architecture deploys the same core logic across entirely different departments simultaneously, adapting the execution to fit the specific context of each team. In sales and marketing, the system translates the strategy into data-driven advertising campaigns. It sets up rapid self-auditing routines, constantly adjusting digital ad spend to match shifting consumer attention. Meanwhile, in research and development, the same intelligence targets physical production. It scans for cross-industry breakthroughs, identifying alternative raw materials that reduce friction and accelerate the time it takes to bring a product to market. Over in human resources, the strategy takes the form of centralized knowledge bots. These bots handle routine administrative tasks like payroll and leave management, while providing a secure, discrete channel for employee feedback and inquiries. A single strategic reasoning branches out into targeted, specific actions. The collective system coordinates marketing, product development, and employee management all at once, solving highly distinct operational problems through one unified logic. The process doesn't end at deployment. The fourth and final stage of the architecture is learning, and it dictates that every execution must be monitored. The system tracks experiential data across all departments. It meticulously records the return on ad spend, the performance of the new R&D materials, and every piece of employee feedback interacting with the HR bots. Standard artificial intelligence models remain static. If you ask a general model a question today, it uses the exact same reasoning it used yesterday, waiting for its developers to release an external software update. As this flowchart shows, the Supermind closes the loop. It routes all of that tracked departmental data directly back into its central hub. Successes are reinforced, failures are analyzed, and the system's internal knowledge base expands. The continuous absorption of localized data turns the setup into a permanent, scalable framework. It stops being a temporary consulting fix and becomes an integrated piece of corporate infrastructure. By closing this execution gap, an organization sheds its rigid, reactive structure. It replaces isolated tools with a living, interconnected foundation that grows measurably sharper with every decision it makes.